Hi, welcome to this live chat. This special edition. Later I'll be having some guests with me, the team from Vintage Radio, to have a little chat. In fact, very happy to find out this new platform. Now I just trying to get them on the screen now. Oh, hi, we have Teddy Man. Hi. Hello. Hi, Brian.
Mr. Baey, how are you?
I'm very good, very good. Very good to see you online.
You don't mind my mask, huh?
Uh, you can get away with that?
No, this is life, I mean, you can't take it
It's
out,
like,
you.
yeah. Hello, very good to see you, Brian. For those who may not know Brian, Brian is a very famous radio DJ and
Hey.
host in many all forms of media.
Yes.
So very honored to have Brian online with us.
The last time we met was in Queenstown. Remember, they were celebrating this was at Tangley Hall. We did a show there, and you were one of
Yes,
our special guests.
at the audience, yes. And I think you used to live around the area, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, at Strathmore Avenue. I grew up in
Yes.
Strathmore Avenue, so that's the reason why they called me, to
Ah,
talk about Queenstown.
yes, yeah. And then I remember Mark also supported me when I was still in Queenstown serving as MP on
Ah,
a charity calendar. So
oh
he
yeah,
helped me post for one of the months, the calendar, and then we
yeah.
sold it to raise funds for the community.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Indeed.
We are
Okay, we'll,
your, sorry,
yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
we are your biggest supporters, man, Mr. Bain.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, we have someone from Queenstown also. Nevada. Hello, how are you? The person is in Queenstown watching from Queenstown now.
Who's that? Oh, you mean somebody? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Somebody
I'm in
comments, yeah,
Queenstown
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yes, indeed, yeah. Okay, great. We have, oh, someone mentioned a radio station that I think you were working there for some time, right? On
You
Go?
mean I do that. I
Yes,
still do that
yeah, you're still, sorry, yes. Yeah,
once a week, and that is
yeah.
every Sunday. And I play. It's basically a nostalgia show where we play songs from the 50s, the 60s, and 70s.
Oh,
That's the only
great.
program left, on the airwaves that plays all the old folks songs for the old folks,
Oh,
because the rest of the stations, they have brought their music forward to
ah,
for, not only the 90s but 2000 and so on. And
yeah.
they've forgotten about the old folks, not interested.
Oh, that's why we have vintage radio now.
Exactly. And that's the reason why we are here.
So May Kwa Hui, May Kwa Hui, yeah. So I bet she's a listener on Go. So maybe you can also check out Vintage Radio.
Great work by Vintage
Uh,
Radio, and really love the objectives of getting this launch for the community.
yes,
Thank
indeed.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just waiting for a few others to join us, right?
Uh, Aloysius
Yeah, and Shine. Waiting for them to make a
and Shine
request
as
on
well.
video. Yeah, then we
Yeah,
can
that's
get
right.
everybody on screen here. Oh, you got a supporter here from Chris Gunn. Great work by Vintage Radio, and really love the objectives of getting this launch for the community.
Yeah.
Oh, and you
Mr.
have
Bay,
Hey,
sorry, can I just interrupt? Could you accept Shine and Aloy's requests?
okay, let me just search for the request. Maybe they can do it again. I can't find the request now. Could they do it again?
Could you do it again? Yeah. I'm just telling one of our interns,
Okay, yeah.
and they are the ones running behind the scenes, making things work here.
In fact, it was your intern who approached me, who emailed me.
Shine, is it Shine?
Yes, yeah.
Yes,
She
she's going to be
also
on in a while. Sorry,
Because
back
we
to
got a lot of comments from people. That's why maybe got buried into all the list
yeah,
of comments there.
Me Kwa Wee,
Yeah.
favorite radio station, goal 90, well,
Mm.
905. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. 谢谢你，谢谢你。
Ah, okay. I see them now. Okay, great. I think they're on. Okay, we should see them soon. Yeah.
Okay, Aloysius has just
Hi,
given us a thumbs up.
Aloysius and
Hello, hi, Mr.
Shine.
Baey.
Hello. This is the first time I'm doing a 4-in-1 chat, so I was not familiar how we can get everybody in.
Well, as they say, 活到老学到好. So
学到老.
we're all learning. I think
Yeah.
for the three of us, we're doing this like the first time or second time, whereas for people like Shine, her generation, they're like, oh, it's very easy. You just touch here, touch there, and then can already.
Sure, I know, but I've never done it before.
Okay. Well, I think, Mr. Baey, first of all, thank you very much for hosting this chat with us. To be able for us to talk about this topic which we came up with, embracing our golden years. It's very much for our seniors. What we hope to be able to do really is to start conversations and increase the awareness of what's happening, in Singapore and what's coming up over the next 10 years. This might sound very technical or statistical, but I think everybody should know that currently, we're at about 15% of our population that's 65 and above. But the thing is, in 10 years' time, by 2030, right, 1 in 4 Singaporeans will be above the age of 65. That's a quarter of Singapore, right? It's going to be silver. And, people like myself, I'm just going to be almost, well, actually there already, touching it. So, the thing is that as you grow older, I think we all can recognize the fact that, we will lose certain things. We will have more challenges. And, as the society ages and then we have a lot of young people coming up, there will be increased burden. And if we don't start getting ready and be aware and to know what that can be done and to start doing now, then we're going to be in a very difficult position 10 years down the road, right? And even 15 years down the road. So really, this is very much to hopefully have more people be aware, appreciate the situation and learn more so that, hopefully what we can do is to have a age-friendly society, perhaps to say that, where we can allow our seniors to age gracefully and have a better quality of life. And a lot of these actually can be done if more of us are actually more aware that we can start spotting and then looking out for things. And we'd like to welcome everybody, to give your feedback for questions and all this. And I promise on Vintage Radio side, if we can't answer the questions today with Mr. Baey, we will try to get hold of the answers along the way and maybe create a podcast to answer these questions or to get expert opinions to actually come in to answer the questions. And in fact, next week we will be engaging with people from Alzheimer's Association, as well as a gentleman who actually came up with a book all around this topic of dementia as well. And I would encourage people to learn more. Really, I think, never mind if you're young, middle-aged, old, or whatever, I think it is good for us to actually know a little bit more about where we are all headed to. So I've been yapping a lot. Today, we've got Mr. Baey here, we've got Brian, and we've got one of our interns, Shine. And hopefully, along the way, maybe we can have Mr. Baey and Shine also to share a little bit about themselves, their lives, the interactions with the seniors in your own world, in your own social circles. And I believe Shine has something to share also about her experience with a family member that actually went through dementia or had dementia. So that would be, something that we're open and we'd just like to share. So maybe I'll turn this back over to you, Mr. Baey. Maybe you can share with us your views, your thoughts about Singapore as we progress as a society. I mean, I would preface this to say that, not everything is dependent on the government. I think as a society, as Singaporeans, we need to do our part. Every one of us, young, old, middle-aged, babies, whatever, we need to do our part. So, maybe first of all, you can share with us your thoughts.
Yeah, indeed. Well, thanks for having me with you. So I was sharing earlier that when I got email from Shine about Vintage Radio, I didn't really understand what it is about. So I asked for a Zoom meeting to find out more information so that we can talk and for me to get a better understanding. And as Brian was sharing, that in the radio stations in Singapore, there are only a certain very small time belt on one station that still play the songs from those era. And I think vintage radio is really serving a niche. I think that's very important for our older generation to feel connected and to feel that they are cared for and they are content being produced for them. I think that's very important because we will all get old one day. All right, we say talk about 50s or 60s as something familiar to me, Brian's age group. But for me, it could be maybe the 70s and 80s. But in maybe 20, 30 years time, I will maybe be yearning for that kind of music where I cannot find on the radio. All right. But of course, I'm more fortunate in the sense that I know the internet. I know how to search YouTube. Hopefully, YouTube is still around at that time, 20, 30 years from now. But I think for those who are more elderly, it is always a challenge to keep up with things, with times, with technology. And I think it happens in every generation. But in today's world, because technology moves so fast, I think people could be left behind even more easily. But that gives us the opportunity for the community, for young people like Shine, for platforms like this, to play an active role in looking out for the needs of the elderly and find ways that can help them move along. And as I dabble with your app, I realized that, actually it's so easy, someone with a smartphone and a Wi-Fi connection at home, that's it. That's all you need. It's much easier than go on YouTube to search for something, to go online, a URL, link on URL, whatever. It is so simple. So simple. So I really wish that more people could know about this. I know on Instagram watching now, probably they are all much younger. But if you can share this platform with the elderly at home, in your extended family, get them to discover this gem, listen to Brian every day, and we have also different hosts online every day in the 4 official languages. I think it'd be great enjoyment that they can benefit from on the daily basis.
Well, thank you very much for that, Mr. Baey. To be honest, really, on our part, the reason why we actually started this station was because of that. There was a gap, and we noticed it. People like Mark and myself, we literally bumped into each other, and both of us had the same idea, and we started working on it. And we were very fortunate to have philanthropists step forward and a few government grants coming in to actually allow us to launch and enable us to actually do what we were dreaming and hoping to do. But this is only the beginning, and we do need everybody's support to enlarge the base. There's a lot of seniors in Singapore, which I think if we can have everybody's help to help them get connected, really, it will be really helpful for everybody. I gave the example to our interns, that as babies, it's our grandparents and our parents who held our hands and make sure that we learn how to walk. And if we fell, if we tripped, they would catch us. And I think it is now the responsibility of the younger generation, the kids who are so good with their thumbs and the electronics, to really take the hands of their grandparents and guide them on this journey. It's full circle perhaps, but I think it is also our responsibility to care and not leave them behind, right? And everything is there. We're not doing a tremendous job. I think there's still a lot of improvements that we can add in, but it is through everybody's help that we can actually, try and meet those goals. Maybe now I can just move this over to Shine. I think she's got some experiences to share with insofar as dementia and all this, which is one of the things that growing old, there is a chance that you will suffer from dementia, different levels and all this. Statistics have it that 1 in 10 for people who are 65 and above may in some ways be affected by dementia as they grow older. This is something that we cannot run away from, but what we can do is to spot it, early intervention, delay it, slow it down, and then get help. So maybe Shine, you can share with us your experience.
Yeah, so just to share a bit of my experience, I grew up with a grandmother who had dementia, and it was very difficult at the start it was very difficult for my family dealing at the start with her dementia because there was little knowledge back then. I think this was a little over 10 years ago, about dementia, and the basic thing that they went to was medical help, which really is a great step, because with medical help you can get medicine and all that to try and ease and slow down the dementia, or at least put them to sleep. Not put them to sleep, sorry, let them rest for a little while. Yeah, so yeah, I remember while she was in and out of the dementia phase, she was forgetting a lot of things. Like all of a sudden she would forget my name, or all of a sudden she would forget is my grandfather, and he passed on, which led to a stroke. And then she kind of lost the will to live because she lost like her soulmate lah. And then she went into the dementia and all that. So it was very difficult to pull her back out of that and give her like kind of that motivation to kind of take more care for her mental well-being. So actually, Aloysius asked me this question the other day, in preparation for this live. If moving back 10 years ago, if you had the knowledge that you had now, what would you have done differently? And I think that there would be a lot of things I would have done. Like I would have been like, hey Papa, do you want to take up gardening? Tell me more about your life. These are steps that we can actually take to ease dementia patients, to ease people living with dementia, help them find the joy and the will to live for their friends and for their families. And so yeah, so these are things that I wish that I had the knowledge to share with my grandmother at that point of time. But I'm also very heartened by the fact that now Singapore has put in steps and measures in place to help persons living with dementia. Like for example, ADA recently painted murals of Ang Ku Kueh, tingkat all over Ang Mo Kio, just to help seniors find persons living with dementia in Ang Mo Kio find their way back home easier. Yeah, so that's about it for me.
Well, thanks for sharing that, China. It's not easy for people to share personal experiences, especially of this, but I think it's great that we can actually bring this to the foreground and let more people understand that having dementia, I think it's something that cannot be avoided for some, but really there's a lot of places that you can actually go to now. ADA has just recently renamed themselves as Alzheimer's Association. They're doing a great job trying to bring forward and put out more information to create more awareness. And I think we should try and find out a little bit more. The more we are involved with vintage radio, the more I actually start to learn about seniors, the challenges, and what it means really to have a better quality of life. One of the things that that helps really is interaction with your family, with your loved ones, and all this. And I think last week, Brian shared how he actually is proactive. And I think for the audiences that are new today, really, I would like Brian to share a little bit again, on how he actually proactively gets involved with his family and not just, go down there, hey, boy, don't do this, and stuff like that. So, Brian, over to you.
Yeah, but before we proceed, may I just take a moment to acknowledge this little message that came to us by Eunice Olsen. And she says, amazing work, Vintage Radio. Thank you so much, Eunice. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eunice.
Yeah, and I'm a very positive person, no matter what. And we're talking about dementia. I'd like to look at it positively. Well, a lot of people think, poor thing, they forget who their friends are, and they suffer in silence. But let me tell you that on a positive note, for somebody with dementia, The husbands see them every day, but every day they think that they're meeting somebody new. Hello? Who's that? Who are you? They say, I'm your husband. How can you be my husband? Somebody else said and it goes on like that. But on a positive note, I suppose you get to meet, new friends every day. And talking about what we did last week, my approach to parenting, and especially to being grandparents and all this, I'm never a conventional parent. Never. I'm always full of fun, jokes with my kids, to the point where today I'm the subject of their pranks. So I take it with a pinch of salt and with a big smile. Because I help to groom two happy children, and they pass this on to their children. So I've got happy grandchildren. Unfortunately, I've only got one, and my approach to looking after them, or interacting with them, is just the way I did with my two boys. Everything is up in front, and I will talk to them like a friend, never like a conventional parent. Like somebody who is supposed to be a very strict father. Hey boy, don't talk to me like that. And always with a grumpy face and all that. Not me. I will pull a prank or two on these boys, and then likewise they do it to me even more today. And I've got this very good association with my grandson. I know he loves golf, and I'm not a golfer, but I pick up the game, meaning I learn all the rules and everything to know about the game, and I'll discuss golf with him. And whatever I'm not sure, I ask him, and he tells me all the little nuances and the tricks of the trade and all that. He will tell me, this is this is how we go about this. And John Rahm has just won the U.S. Open and all that, but he missed out on the previous tournament because he was down with COVID-19. He was
Tested positive.
That's right. See what I mean? Dementia is stepping in where I'm concerned. So that's how I get along with my grandson, and he looks forward to me, to seeing me every week. And that's the way I like it. Sometimes I wish I can have more time with him. But unfortunately, he's busy, I'm busy, and so we look forward to that Saturday every week. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Brian, for that, because I think apart from the amount of time, really is the quality of time. And I think, Mr. Baey, you've got kids as well. Is there anything that you do to encourage them to interact more with their grandparents and vice versa as well? Because I'm in some ways I'm failing on my part, and I need to learn from a lot of people.
Well, I think as parents, then we must create those opportunities. First, starting from when they're young, to have like regular, visit the grandparents regularly, have meals there, bring them out for meals, or bring them over at home for meals, so that the kids are familiar and comfortable with their grandparents. So now that they're all teenagers, much older, we still create different opportunities. So like, for example, during the heightened alert period where only 2 visitors are allowed per household. So my family of 5, we can't go to my parents, my in-laws' place as a family. So what I'll do is that I'll drop 2 kids at one side, and then maybe my wife and I will go to one parent. So that even in smaller groups, we can still do it. And then time get to call their grandparents, when they meet, suggest things that they can talk about, so that there is, so both the grandparents and grandchildren can know what's happening in their lives. We can share, exchange, and really just talk, because I think communications is very important. And sometimes it's funny, grandparents may even talk more to their grandchildren than to their own children. Somehow the generation gap actually doesn't exist 2 generations apart. But really, I think sometimes, because as when you're older, when you have grandchildren, maybe you are already in your 50s or 60s or 70s. Then sometimes the expectation of grandchild is quite different from a child. All right, I think the pressure of bringing out the child is very different versus bringing out a grandchild, and therefore I think the mindset is different. Although I think I am not speaking from experience, so Brian can advise much better. But I think this thing about being a friend not only applies to parent and child, but also grandparent and grandchild. I think this mindset is very good, because we want people to feel comfortable, in talking to one another, and that's where communications can flow.
Yeah. Well, I can't agree more actually, because I think for kids especially, it's so much easier for them to open up and talk, and if it's like friendly, and rather like, oh, am I going to be scolded? Am I going to be chided, for saying the wrong things and all this? And I mean, while for us as Asian parents, like, there's always this thing about, jia jiao and all this, right? And respect your parents, your grandparents, all this. But I think in some ways we also need to encourage them to open up first, to actually be able to have that bond. And one of the things that I'm reminded of is also the history that our grandparents can actually share with our kids and our children, for them to understand what they have today, is so different from what it was, a couple of generations back. Yesterday we were speaking to Grandma Mary, who's well known for picking up the guitar at age 60 and all that, right? And she's about 84 now, but she still remembers the time where it was the Japanese occupation, where Singapore was invaded, bombs were going off, and what happened during the Japanese occupation, which only when she mentioned, her experience, did I remember what my own grandmother shared with me as a little boy, what she had to do, how my parents, my mom and her sisters all had to cut their hair short as well, so that they all look like boys, so that they actually, not chased after or not being taken away by the Japanese army people who were then at that time or just looking for girls, right? So, I mean, these are things that I think we need to know, so that moving forward, we know what we're fighting for, we know our heritage, and we know what Singapore is all about, and in some ways, yes, there is a Singapore identity. It's there. We just need to recognize it also. And in order for us to recognize it, really is to look back at what happened, where we came from, and really appreciate what we have around us. And, again, it comes back to this really, is to connect with your grandparents and, learn from them as much as you can, teach them some stuff as well. I don't know, Brian, I mean, for yourself, you've picked up stuff about golf from Saul and all this. My only point would be that, if your grandma was still around, I don't know, what is it going to be like for you to actually to have that chance to interact with her again, So, moving on, the thing is, we do understand that in Singapore, there are efforts to try and be more dementia friendly, and I'm not sure whether if there's any chance for you, Mr. Baey, to share with us some of the plans moving forward. I would take it that, an aging Singapore is not something new. It's not like, oh yeah, yesterday we thought about it. It's actually quite some time back already that this has been recognized, yeah?
Yeah. We are also learning from other areas how they can make the neighborhood more dementia friendly. In fact, just last year, we had a new social service agency that set up in Tampines called the Brahm Center. So they specializes a lot on caring for elderly, doing screening for dementia, how to help people and caregivers, how to cope with dementia. And they organize a lot of activities to keep people active, engaged in the mind and physically as well, so that it will slow down dementia, the onset of dementia. So it's great that we're able to work with community partners at Brahm Center, and also volunteers on the ground, people who are looking out for the neighbors, to come together, to look out and to help them. In fact, I remember some years ago, I got an email from a resident. So she was saying that she's going to move out of Tampines, but she would like me to take care of her neighbor, because this neighbor, an old lady, has been coming to her, knocking on the door, asking for food. She says she's always hungry. So she'll be very kind, buy her lunch or share her lunch, home cooked lunch with the old lady. So she's afraid that once she moves out, no one will take care of her. And that maybe because this old lady has actually a family, I think with a son and daughter-in-law, then she's sort of afraid that she may not be well treated by the family. So that got me very worried. And then we got some of our grassroots leaders to check it out. And in the end, we discovered that the old lady is suffering from dementia. She's forgotten that she has eaten. And I think so these are some of the things that is happening. And then sometimes we don't know the facts. We can be misunderstanding that, oh, actually the children are mistreating her and things like that. So it's very sad, right? But so what we did was that, yes, we assure this nice neighbor who is moving out that no worries, we will contact the relevant agency, and then we can work with the family to see how we can take better care of the grandmother.
Well, Mr. Baey, I'm actually heartened by the fact that, that gave me that little sign of hope as far as kampong spirit is concerned, which, nowadays living in high rises is not that easy to foster that. But you brought on an interesting point, which is actually for more of us to actually know or be able to spot the signs of dementia and to recognize that and not just to jump to a conclusion like, oh yeah, she's being mistreated, or she's whatever, and it is true. People with dementia do forget that they've eaten, and then, or forget where they are, and they get lost and all this. So I guess the other thing is also, as more of us, and I would encourage everybody, to find out more about dementia, how to spot that, how to recognize what contributes or what would, contribute to the onset. Something that we learned along the way, and that is when we worked with a company called Listening Lab that deals in hearing aids, right? In fact, we did a campaign with them. But while working with them, the stories that they shared with us was interesting, because as we grow old, yeah, we will lose certain functions, certain capabilities, and things will not work that well. One of them will, of course, apart from eyesight, is hearing. And being for hearing being so personal, people may not know that you are slowly losing the ability to hear certain frequencies. And so, when they are talking to you and you think that's what they said, and then, that's what you assume, but it's not the message. So the example that they gave was this couple, right? This Chinese couple that the husband was going out. So asked the wife, what would you like? And the wife said, I would, can you get me some 报纸, as in newspaper lah, right? So he went out happily, did his stuff, and then he came back with a 包, not 报纸, because the lower frequencies of 字 wasn't picked up by him. And then the wife went like, you don't love me, like, you never listen to me, you never pay attention. But the fact of the matter is that he was losing his hearing. And anecdote aside, the thing is that what was explained to us by the listening lab was that as you lose your hearing, you lose stimulation. And when you lose audio stimulation, that's where your brain don't get to work as much as it should. And therefore, then that kind of triggers or advances what would be dementia, where you don't get as much brain activity as you should, or as you can, So without recognizing the fact that you are, losing your hearing, and that could be the cause, one of the causes for the onset of dementia. I do have to put up my hand to say that I'm not an expert in this, but based on what I've read, that would be my understanding, right? And recently there's been a lot of publicity about vascular dementia, where the brain is actually not getting enough oxygen because your heart is not pumping as much, and the best way is to just go out for a walk, and I think credit to our government. We're having more and more park connectors and all this to encourage our seniors, to go out and exercise. And Brian, I think you should share with us your exercise regime as well, because you and I, we used to play football, soccer. We can't do that now. My bad knees, we can still run around. So maybe you can share with us your exercise regime.
Well, I try and, go for runs around the stadium, and I'm talking about Erishine Stadium where I live. So I'll try and make it at least thrice weekly affair, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays in the latter half of the day. You know, if I can, I'll be out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and going on a run and doing some simple exercises. What is important is to keep doing it. You've got to push yourself. There will be times when you think, like my wife will say, are you going for a run? And suddenly I feel so tired. You know, I want to sleep. But I push myself and I go for it, you know, because at the end of the day, it helps me. I benefit. So why not? And talking about dementia, I must share with you this little story. You know, one of my listeners, he is 96 years old. His son has sent me requests from time to time to play a song for him. And I know this gentleman because he used to be a football referee. And even when he was younger, he was a member of a group called the Bambinos. Thomas Paul is his name. And he's got dementia. And he's, you know, almost just helpless, lying in bed, you know, looking in one direction and not making, you know, contact with anybody. And he's totally in a world of his own. But whenever the program comes on, he comes alive. And he sings along with some of the songs according to his son. He sings along. And this was told to me only recently because this gentleman has passed away. But he says the only time that he came alive is when you are playing all those old songs. And he remembers those songs. And whatever songs he remembers, he will sing along. So music really is the answer to all those with dementia. Somehow or other, it works. And that's the reason why vintage radio is here.
Well, thanks for that, Brian, for giving us another plug. I'm just looking at some of the feedback or questions that has been being sent through onto this live chat itself. And STF Pay, I see many elderly playing chess and games downstairs with their friends as well. I think it's a good method to prevent dementia too. Yes, you're right. Anything that can, you know, keep the brain alive and all this. But I suppose one of the things that we as the family members can do is to also encourage them to move around a little. You know, maybe one of the things that we can see more, and I have to confess, as much as I can now, especially with the heightened alert or the situation, I'm actually starting to walk a little bit more with my wife, and you know, we get our kid to go with us just for a family walk and all, right? And what I'm not seeing though is family units going out for walks. I'm glad to see a lot of people out walking, running, and all this, but maybe some of the things that we can do, and I know we are all busy, right? And we've got things to do, deadlines to meet and all this, but I would encourage everyone, you know, to keep your parents, your grandparents company. Just go for a walk with them, you know, shoot the breeze, get some fresh air. You know, a 30-minute walk along the parks, in the park connectors, I think that really helps a lot. They crave attention. They won't say it. Grandparents will never say, oh, can you come and give me? And they won't, because I think they love us too much to disturb us or you know to be of trouble to us, right? But you know, that would be something that I think we should encourage everybody. You know, half an hour in a week is not that much. It's not that much, I think. You know, but it will do so much for them if we can actually just go for a walk with them. It's good for their health and you know, it's good for your as well, you know, to be able to talk to your parents or your grandparents. You know, and I think part of the plan under the government is really to have more park connectors and opportunities like this for everybody to be making use of, right, Mr. Baey?
Yeah, indeed. To make, even though Singapore is so small, but I think with proper planning,
many neighborhoods, whether big or small parks, park connectors, really these are, in fact, getting more popular now during the COVID pandemic. People are yearning because they can't go overseas, nature, outdoor spaces, and I think that's a good suggestion. In fact, Aloysius reminded me I should maybe ask my father out for a walk in the park because on his own, probably won't go there. Yeah, but Makan, I see someone mentioned Makan earlier about Makan, eating food also bring people together. And it's true. And I think I see a lot of older people in my neighborhood, over coffee or a beer or just, men and women, chatting and hanging around at coffee shop. So I think there are different interests and hobbies and what people like could be different, but I think common interests can bring people together. And that's where we must find more such opportunities and reasons for people to want to come out and to mix around and socialize and keep in touch with the rest of the world.
That's very true, Mr. Baey. Well, another feedback I think that came in was again from STF Pay. I really like this talk on dementia. Many elderly people are lost on the way home, and it's sad because they are not sure how to find or ask for help. I don't know, Mr. Baey, is there any way? I mean, I do know that some of our constituencies are planning or have plans to be a more dementia-friendly neighborhood, right? But again, I start again from what I go back to what I started with. Not everything is about government, right? What is it that you think that we as citizens, as a society, what is it that we can do to really help these people? To recognize that, hey, maybe somebody's lost. Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's where everyone can play a part. I mean, if you see someone who may need help, whether lost or whatever, then just greet the person, her smile, and say, "Oh, is there something I can help you with?" And just listen to the person. And it's something that we can do to bring them home, to show them the way, or give them some directions. Just do it. Just break the ice. Take the first step. And then for family members with dementia, what we can do to care for them is maybe do a little card for them. Either a contact number, probably not the full address. I think you have to be careful also in case it falls into the wrong hands. But a way for them to be contacted, because sometimes the person with dementia cannot tell you which address. They may know the way back if they see the right signs or landmarks, but they may not tell you which block or which unit number. But if a card on them can help to provide some clues or someone to call, then that will be very useful as well.
I think just to take a further step on that, right, Mr. Baey, the thing would be this. I think most of us now already have the ubiquitous safe entry little dongle. If we could just have all the family members who think, you've got a senior at home who may or may not be, with dementia, it's quite easy to just attach something there with a telephone number, and information like this, so that I think, if it's something that we're going to keep on our bodies by default, then, that could be something that could also be used to at least help, people who are lost to actually find their way or have a way back home. I think that's important. I'm looking at the time right now, and, we've basically used up our 45 minutes of your time. But before we go, perhaps just a quick offer again, to anybody with questions. If you have, maybe you can put that down onto the chat so that we can try our best to answer here. What are some of the ways I can get my grandparents to exercise if they are reluctant to do so? Maybe I can throw this to Brian. Brian, if, from a perspective...
Well, what you can do is, try as you may, get your elderly parents to go for a walk. Try and entice them. In order to go for a walk, entice them with what's either the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Tell them, let's go to the coffee shop and go for a nice bowl of meat, or perhaps, a nice cup of coffee and all that, that you love, especially at this particular coffee shop and all that. Shall we go there? That's how you get them going out. The other thing is, there are a lot of community clubs that offer different, programs to entice elderly citizens to come along and take part. And especially they have line dance sessions. Get them to join in a line dance class, and it will not only get their movements and get their dose of exercise and all that, but it helps their brains, because you know why? They have got to remember the steps. So engage in some line dance activity. It helps.
And I think it's different strokes for different people. Some people like to socialize, so they like to go like line dancing with friends, or they can make friends. But there's some who are a bit more introvert. They may not like crowds. All right, so that's where maybe like what Brian, you are learning golf because of your grandson, right?
That's right.
So as a grandparent, I don't think they'll say no to their grandchild. So something I learned as well. So recently, with the COVID vaccination, my parents actually weren't too keen to go for vaccination. In fact, they booked the appointment, but in the end, they changed their mind, or something happened, so they didn't go. So I took the opportunity when my son, he's a teenage now, so when they opened to the school children, so he signed up. So I said, hey, I called my parents, said, hey, your grandson is going for a vaccination tomorrow. I'm going to drive in there, so come with me. I'll bring all you all together and get vaccinated. And with that, they went. So my parents are now vaccinated. So sometimes you just have to try, because everyone is different. And we just try. I think at the end of it, it is the good intentions, and I think with the sincerity is for their own good, is to just encourage them. I think positive words of encouragement would be very, very useful.
Well, I think that's really true, Mr. Baey. And if I may, some of the people that we've come across, some of the groups that we've come across as Vintage Radio, right, really are little startup groups that on their own, they've also started activities and all this. And I'd like to give a shout out to this group called the Silver Hair Club. Yes, it's a members thing, but it's really, you don't have to pay anything. Silver hair. And the requirement is very simply this: you're a Singaporean PR, and you sign up. You're 50 and above, and there are many different groups in there that have many different interests and all this, from singing to walking to cooking to eating to anything under the sun. So the only thing they say is, inside here we don't talk religion, we don't talk politics, and that's pretty much it. The rest of the thing is free, and then you can meet up with people of the same interest, and then and have activities going on. And I would encourage people, everyone, to help out. Be it that maybe your grandparents are not so savvy going online and all this, you can always sign them up. It doesn't take you more than 2 minutes. Showing really if I can put it this way, what it means to you is that if you can help your parents and your grandparents to lead a more healthy lifestyle, to be a bit more active, right, and you delay or even prevent the onset of dementia, it means that as a family unit, you get to spend more quality time together, right? And if anything, that would be your selfish reason to do it, right? As they grow older, you will have to spend more time looking after them. But if you help them to be more healthy, right, the benefit also goes both ways. Yeah, and if anything, that would also be another reason, another push for everybody to be doing a little bit more and work towards a society that is actually more dementia-friendly, that actually provides that environment for our seniors to age gracefully. And I think it's incumbent for everybody to be doing that, not just, that's other people's problem. I think it's everybody's responsibility. Yeah.
And start at home. Start within your own family.
Exactly. And
yeah, Aloysius, if I may just chime in here, like I really agree with whatever you guys said about how it's everybody's responsibility to care for the seniors and to care for the better of Singapore. And I think especially so for my generation, as someone from my young 20s, I would say, there's actually a study done that by 2050, Singapore will hit more than 50% of seniors. So Singapore will be populated with slightly more than 50% of seniors. And we all know that seniors over their 60s, they might be more prone to illnesses like high blood pressure and even dementia. So what can we do as the younger generation and the future generation of Singapore to help step up and create a more dementia-friendly Singapore, or Singapore that's more friendly towards like the seniors in general? I think now I just wanted to address one question earlier that said, how can I help my grandparent who is, or how can I help elderly with dementia who lose their way outside? I think if we were to see that, maybe just spend a little bit more time just to help them. Because if you think about it, let's say, okay, everybody thinks for themselves, let's be honest. So let's think for ourselves and think, how can we in turn help our parents to make Singapore a more dementia-friendly society? Or how can we help for ourselves when we grow older? How can we help Singapore to be a more senior-friendly society? So it's always with that first step. Let's start by helping others so that in turn, next time we can get the help and support that we need as well. Yeah.
So paying it forward. I do have to say that for us, Vintage Radio, apart from Mark and myself and Kevin, who are in our 50s around, we do have four very very senior presenters, and over the past few months we've really been able to come alive because of our 5 energetic young interns from Temasek Poly. And in fact, this whole idea of doing an Instagram live chat actually came from them. And I used to say like, our future, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm heartened by the fact that we have young Singaporeans, our young generation actually stepping forward and deciding that they want to spend their internship at somewhere where to them is meaningful, and I'm very heartened for our future. Okay, I think Mr. Baey, thank you again very much for hosting us and spending your Friday evening with us away from your family. I do apologize. But thank you so much, and we hope that we can sometime in the future again engage with yourself and your colleagues as well, to bring this message across to as many people as possible, because I think it is really important that Singapore as a whole, as a society, we need to grow together. We need to be more together rather than being apart, and definitely we need to do more for our seniors as well. So it's great that we have our Merdeka package and our Pioneer package and all this, but I think individually we need to do more. So
indeed.
Thank you
welcome.
again.
You're most welcome. My pleasure to be with you, and for me to know you. In fact, I did a recording with you.
Oh yes, yes,
radio.
yes.
Yeah. So
thank you so much.
Next Friday you'll be broadcast. So looking forward to it as well. And I really want to encourage your team, plus the interns, to continue a good work, because I think it's very important. And I hope that this spirit will be passed on, and that, because one thing is certain is that every one of us will get old. We just get older day by day. All right. And it's heartening to see young people taking interest in this topic, and through their own ways, their ideas, to help connecting people, whether it's elderly people or the different age groups, because only through talking, exchanging, and that's where ideas will come. That's where we can find new sparks of creativity, and things to move and change for the better. So wish you all the best, and
thank you very much, sir.
See you around.
Okay, a very quick plug.
Yes.
Do catch the program next Friday on Vintage Radio at 2 p.m. We have more than 1 hour with Mr. Baey Yam Keng, where he's going to share about his growing up years, his music, and what's had influenced him. This is a very interesting program. I would encourage you to tune in then, 2 p.m. on Friday. It's repeated on Saturday at 12, and then available as a podcast after that. So do spend that time and listen in as well. And again, thank you very much, Mr.
First
Baey.
thing, download Vintage Radio first. Download.
Thank you, sir.
It's an app, very easy to use. and look out for podcasts and everything, all the great content that they have.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Great.
Baey. Good
Thank
night.
you. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Mr. Baey.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, thank you for listening in. I hope you found it useful. Yeah, so check out Vintage Radio. And yes, I'll be posting this live chat on my feed later on. I saw some questions earlier about whether this will be saved and so that you can refer to it. Yes, I'll do that. So if you would like this, share this, like the post, share with your friends, your following. Comment, give us ideas or I'm sure Vintage Radio, the team will be looking out for the posts and also your comments, and they can also benefit a lot from your suggestions and comments on what they are doing. So thank you so much. Today is Friday. I hope you all have a great weekend, and weekend is a good time for us to spend the family with your grandparents, cross-generation kind of bonding. And now we can have 5 visitors in the household. Visit your grandparents, show them Vintage Radio. If they have a smartphone, if they have Wi-Fi at home, they can download for them, teach them how to use it. It is really that simple. Launch the app, look out for the show, and then you can play. And there are different time belts every day on the program of different language. And they'll be playing music that your grandparents would be very familiar with and they will enjoy. So I hope you can check out this Vintage Radio app. With that, thank you very much again. Take care, everybody, and see you around. Bye.